Hello, welcome to my channel. My name's Amelie if you're new here. If you're not, welcome back. And today we're talking all about how to start running. Before we get into the video, I'm gonna go on my own run and then I'm gonna come back and talk to you guys. But for those of you who don't know, I am working on running a half marathon. I originally started not even being able to run a mile, and then I worked my way up to 10 miles. Now I'm currently training for a half marathon. So today on my running plan, we have a 4.5 mile run scheduled. So I'm gonna go do that and then I will talk to you guys all about running in a second. Okay, we're 4 miles in. I'm feeling tired, but I'm not like at the point where I can't keep going. And I know this. I don't want to keep going, but this is the point where I'll talk about later. You have to push yourself a little bit every single time. So my last long run, I did 4 miles. This long run, I do 4.5. I'm literally dying. It's hot, I'm sweaty. My feet are starting to hurt. But we're pushing because I know I can, and the only way to improve is to get uncomfortable and to just keep working with running. And the thing that's so challenging about running is that it's a mental push forever. Like, I've been running for 40 minutes and I've been mentally pushing myself for that entire 40. It's not like a quick one and done thing. You have to keep going. And I just heard the quote on my podcast, pressure creates diamonds. In this case, you're the diamond. Put yourself under some pressure. I'm back from my run. I just got back, so I'm super sweaty, so I apologize in advance for how I look. But I completed the 4.5 miles. I did it non-stop, which was my goal. And I won't lie, it was hard. There were times I wanted to give up, but in those times, I pushed myself, kept going, changed up the podcast I was listening to. These are all things that we're gonna talk about later, but I just wanted to tell you what I did in the moment because now I'm here, my run is complete, and I feel the achievement of doing it nonstop. That's all stuff that we're gonna talk about later. I have a bunch of tips and tricks that I wrote down about how to start running and how to stay consistent with it. So we're just gonna go through it, talk it out. But before we do that, I wanna give you guys a background because if you haven't watched my fitness journey video already, I definitely recommend that you do that because you can get a better sense of where I've come from in all forms of fitness and my body and how I changed it and my diet switches and all of that. But I don't think I've ever really gone into depth in my history of running, so let's talk about it. I was the kid in PE who would dread the mile. I could never run it non-stop. I was probably one of the slowest in my class, and I would do anything to get out of the mile. I hated it. Like, I would fake being sick on Fridays just to skip Friday run day. So I'm coming from a history of just despising it. I had the worst relationship with running and honestly all fitness. When I started my fitness journey in 2020, I obviously could not run. It was just very scary to me, very unmotivating, just not something that I enjoyed at all. But it is a form of cardio, and I noticed that my body really reacted to it. And of course, I was switching up my diet as well, but running, I noticed that my body really reacts well to it and leans me out. So I decided to start running, and yes, I did start with using running as my form of cardio, as a goal to lose weight, not as a punishment, but I did see it as a workout that would get me to my dream body, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. And I couldn't run a mile nonstop. I still couldn't, obviously. I was starting from a place of no experience, but over time, I just stayed consistent. And eventually in 2021, so it took me about a year, I ran 10 miles nonstop, which was the farthest I ever ran. And it felt amazing. This was a point in my life where I was in love with running. I would go on a run if I was sad, mad, just confused. Like, running was my way of coping and I loved it. I looked forward to my runs and it was a great place to be. Then, I don't know what happened, but in 2022, I just really stopped running. Like, I lost all my motivation. It just wasn't a priority anymore, and I started lifting a lot more, and I kept consistent with it. So I would kind of have maintenance runs. I would do like 2 miles here and there, but I really lost progress and I couldn't run more than 7 miles, which you think is still a lot, which it is, but I wasn't at the point where I used to be where I could run 10 miles, and I definitely didn't enjoy it. That was a big thing. I used to be at a place where I loved running. It was basically where I found peace, and it got to a point where I was not looking forward to my runs. I would so much rather lift. It was more of like, ugh, I have to do this. It was very much a chore. It's been a goal of mine since I ran 10 miles because it's so close to half marathon to run a half marathon. So my 2022 goal for myself was to run a half marathon, and then obviously I didn't complete it. So now we're in 2023. I put that on my New Year's goal again, and I'm hoping that in the process of working my way up to a half marathon, I fall in love with running again. And I will say it's getting easier, and I am looking forward to it more. So that's my history with running and kind of where we're at now, where my goals are with running, all of that. So let's get into how to start running for beginners, okay? So if you're someone who's already kind of started running and you enjoy it, that's completely different. But right now we're talking about the people like myself in the past who hate running, because I feel you, I've been you, and we're gonna get you past that. The first thing we're just gonna state, it sucks. Running sucks. Most people starting running, you're gonna hate it. And that's the hard truth. For most people, it's not one of those workouts that you just do and you fall in love. It's one of the ones that you dread, and that's okay. But you have to accept that you're not gonna like it at first, but I can confidently tell you, if you stick with it, you will fall in love with it and you will start enjoying it. So don't be discouraged if you don't like it the first time. The key to starting it all, upping your mileage, is just getting out there. Even if you can't run nonstop for 3 minutes, run nonstop for 1 minute, but you have to stay consistent, because I think something that can be super discouraging about running is if you can't run very far nonstop, you feel like you have to stop there when that's not the case. If you can only run nonstop for 5 minutes, go for 10 minutes, but take a walk break. There is nothing wrong with walk breaks, but you just have to push yourself to get out there, set a goal for how many times you want to run in that week, and run that many times. It really is all about consistency, because it's all about building stamina and it's also mental discipline. So you just have to be consistent, get yourself out there. I would recommend running 3 to 4 times a week, and just stay consistent, keep pushing, because every single time that you go out, you will get better and you will make progress. This is another thing I do want to mention. Even when you feel like you're not making progress, you are making progress, because there are days where 1 mile feels super easy, and there's gonna be days where 1 mile is super hard. But either way, if you push yourself through that mile, you're making progress, because running is so much about your mental discipline as well as your physical discipline to just keep going. Going back to the relationship you have with running, like I said, you're probably gonna hate it at first. You might be coming from a place where you already do hate it, but if you stay consistent, I promise you are going to start falling in love with it. Because what you hate is the feeling of not being able to move your body. You feel like you're not fit enough. It's just very discouraging when you can't run a mile nonstop. But the love starts coming when all of a sudden you can run a mile nonstop. And then you're gonna hit 2 miles nonstop. And there is truly no form of like validation and this sense of achievement that anything can give to you other than running. Like, hitting a PR when you lift weights is completely different than hitting a PR for a certain speed or a certain distance when running. And also, the endorphins and dopamine released after a run is unlike any other workout. So as you start building up your stamina and hitting these achievements, you're gonna start falling in love with it, and it's gonna get addicting. So you're gonna hate it at first, but I promise you, if you stay consistent, you're gonna fall in love with it. So now we're gonna talk about the strategies to improving your mileage or your times, and just how to get better at running. At least for me, I started running, I would say 3 to 4 times a week. And you don't have to push yourself every single time. So you shouldn't be pushing yourself to go as far as you can every day. I would recommend doing a shorter run, a medium run, and then 1 long run every single week. Monday could be your short run, Wednesday could be your medium run, and then Saturday could be your long run if that's the day that you have more time to do so. At least for me, what worked is pushing myself in intervals. So you could either go for distance or time. So if you can only run half a mile nonstop, go for a mile, but run half a mile, take a little walk break, run another half a mile. And then on your long runs, maybe try to go 0.75 nonstop and then take a walk break and do another 0.75. You could do these intervals as big or as small as you need. If you can only run 0.1 nonstop, do that 0.1, take a little walk break, and do another 0.1. And then slowly push yourself up that mileage. Now the next time, run 0.15 nonstop. And as you get more consistent and you build up your stamina, you can increase those intervals. Same thing for time. Some people choose to go for distance. I would say I'm definitely more of a distance person, but especially if you're very scheduled, like you only have time to run for 30 minutes and you know you can run for 10 minutes nonstop, run those 10 minutes, take a little walk break, run another 10. And then as you move on, maybe now you're doing 15 nonstop with a rest break and then another 15. So there's no harm in taking walks, and intervals are really great because not only are they a great way to track progress, because one day you can maybe run half a mile and then in a week you're running a mile nonstop, but they're also just good ways to stay consistent and push yourself. So I would always recommend intervals, and I would say running 3 times a week, short, medium, and long is the ideal way to start, but also whatever works for you. If you only have time to run once a week, twice a week, that's all gonna work. You're still gonna make progress. It might just be a little bit slower. Make sure that you have good shoes. You don't wanna hurt yourself, and if your feet are hurting during your run, like you're setting yourself up for failure, basically. And it's normal to be a little bit sore. You're gonna feel tired on your runs, but you shouldn't be having like physical pain. So before you start running, make sure that you have quality running shoes. And running shoes can be really expensive, so I'm not saying go spend $200 on shoes, but just make sure that they are quality shoes. Nike has great running shoes, Hoka's, On Clouds, Asics. No shade to Asics, I had them, they didn't work for me. Do what you want with that information, but I really like my Hoka's. And it's so individual. Everyone's feet are so different. There are shoes for stability, there are shoes with more cushion, less cushion. Like, you have to just figure out what works for you, but just make sure that you have a pair of quality running shoes. And this is just like a fun little extra tip. Make sure you have like cute running clothes, because if you feel cute in your clothes when you're running, you're gonna feel way more motivated. I'm a very neutral person, as you can see, so my running gear is a lot more neutral, but I also have some like bright colors, and on days where I'm feeling a little bit less motivated or I need a little spark of happiness, the bright colors when I'm running outside just makes all the difference. And that's another thing, running on a treadmill is probably one of the most discouraging things that you will ever do. So I recommend someone who's trying to start running, you should start outside. Go get into nature, feel the sun on your body, not when it's too hot. Don't run in like the middle of the day, also setting yourself up for failure. You don't want to be like dripping in sweat if you live somewhere where it's hot. And I understand that there are people who live, say, in Minnesota where it's like snowing and you can't run outside. But if you are able to run outside, I recommend running outside, because it's gonna be so much more entertaining, so much more fun. You're gonna see people, get outside. It's just gonna feel so much better than running on a treadmill where you literally feel like you're going nowhere for like an hour. So definitely run outside if you are able to. Another big thing is find something that entertains you. That's why I like to run outside, because like you can look around, because running can get boring, especially if you're running alone. Listen to music or podcasts. I would say for my shorter runs, I'm definitely more of a music person when I need just like 10 minutes of a burst of motivation, high energy, stuff like that. But when I do my longer runs, like I'm running for 40 minutes nonstop, I just throw on a 40-minute podcast, because then not only are you exercising and working your body, but you're also working your mind, and you can gain a lot of knowledgeable information through podcasts. Or if you just want to be entertained, there's like criminal podcasts where it's all about like solving mysteries and stuff. Just find something that entertains you and do that, because you want to make your run as enjoyable and entertaining as possible. Because sometimes there are times where your body feels fine and you know you can keep going, but your brain is just so bored of the activity that you just want to stop. So definitely try listening to music or podcasts. Another good way to really like kickstart your running is to sign up for a race. There's a lot of different ways to approach it, and you could definitely do it in like a slower way where you're kind of just figuring it out and running around or doing whatever. But if you are someone who really wants to improve their running and push themselves, you could sign up for a race that's say in 4 months, because then that really holds you accountable, and you obviously want to be successful in the race. So it's going to be a lot easier for you to stick to your running plan when you have this big event in your future. You could also sign up for a race with people. Then you can train with them and run together. together. Personally, I don't really like running with people. That's just my own choice. I enjoy running alone because it gives me a time to like be with my thoughts and it clears my head. But I know a lot of people enjoy running with people because it gives you someone to have a conversation with. And again, it's another form of entertainment. It's all about making your run as enjoyable as possible. So you could sign up with a race for someone, or you could just go on runs with someone, find someone who's down to get moving with you, because if you are someone who likes to talk, that will make running so much easier if you have someone to talk to. The last tip that I have when it comes to running is keep your relationship with running positive and don't see it as a punishment. Because running is a form of cardio, and a lot of people see cardio as a way just to lose weight or get to their goal body, but then it starts to feel like a chore. When running, it should not seem like a chore. Running is a choice, and my biggest tip to you, if you take anything away from this video, is to see running as a privilege. There are so many people who unfortunately are not able to run. Whatever it is, if you are someone who is able to run, that is a privilege, and feel the movement. Like, running is an amazing way to move your body, and once you push past the point of like feeling tired, you feel so free just moving your body and running, like sprinting. It's just freeing, anything like that. If you want to do cardio and you just want to lose weight and you have to get your cardio in, you could do the stairs, you could do HIIT, you could go on a walk. You don't have to run as your cardio. But if you want to improve your running, that's for you, no one else. And you should see it as a choice, a privilege, and an amazing form of movement and freedom of your body. Even though I started running with the goal of losing weight and stuff like that, I wish that I could go back and undo that, because I only really started to fall in love with running once I had already lost a lot of weight. So I wish I could go back and tell my past self not to see running as a way to lose weight or part of like my workouts that I have to do to lose weight, stuff like that. I wish that I could go back and just tell her to enjoy the movement, feel the movement, and appreciate what my body is capable of doing and see how far I can push my body, not in a physical aspect, like how I look, but in a physical aspect of what I'm capable of. That's how I'm gonna end off this video. If you are someone who wants to get into running, don't see it as a punishment, don't see it as a chore. It is a choice and a privilege, and you should experiment with seeing what your body is capable of, because when you get to the point where you can say, I can run a mile nonstop, I can run 2 miles nonstop, I can run 10 miles nonstop, that is crazy. And you are gonna feel so proud of yourself, so achieved, so motivated to keep pushing yourself, because running is truly something that not everyone can do, and it takes a lot of mental and physical discipline, but once you stay consistent and push yourself, it is so worth it. So with that, I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure to like and subscribe because it helps me so much. Follow my other social media platforms right down here. I have Instagram, Pinterest, and TikTok. I post every single day. I'm always checking my DMs, so feel free to reach out because I will answer. I post all things health, fitness, fashion related content. So if you like what you see here, you will definitely like those. It's a little bit later. I just got ready for the day, but I wanted to pick up my camera to show you guys how I reward myself for my runs. I just treated myself to a cup of coffee from Starbucks because I forget if I mentioned this or not, but one of the best ways to motivate yourself when it comes to running is to reward yourself. Reward yourself for getting out there, for pushing yourself, for staying consistent and doing the thing. When it comes to rewards about fitness, it's important not to reward yourself with things that you are trying to undo or like avoid. So for example, if you're trying to reward yourself for eating healthy for a week or going to the gym, you shouldn't reward yourself with like a huge burger, which again, if you guys know my channel, you know I preach balance. There's nothing wrong with eating a burger, but the point is that your rewards shouldn't be things that go against your goals. Your rewards should be things that go towards your goals. So I'm not going to Starbucks and treating myself to this like 800 calorie frappuccino. I am getting a low calorie, macro friendly Starbucks drink that I still enjoy. So it's like, it's a reward. I enjoy it. I'm super excited to have it. I don't get it all the time because I try to cut down on my coffee intake, especially when I've already had a Celsius today. And it's like an expense that I try not to make, but when I do go on my long runs, especially, I love treating myself with Starbucks after. So I just wanted to show you guys me doing that, how rewards can look, and just another great way to make running more enjoyable. So I hope you guys have a great day. I am in a phenomenal mood after my run. I just feel so accomplished and I can't stop smiling because it is 10 a.m. and I've already run 4.5 miles. So I feel super productive, filled to the brim with endorphins and dopamine, and I'm ready to have a great day. So I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you in the next one.